What's up, my brethren? I don't know if that's the right way to open it, but for whatever reason, it was in my mind to open that way, and there you go. So, had a hiatus again. I know I've said that a lot, probably the last couple of YouTube videos that I made, but this time it was because, as you guys can see, I'm in the new crib and I finally have furniture. I have my TVs mounted. I don't have the whole thing done yet, but I'm close, and I actually feel like I'm kind of in a home now. So enough is done that I feel like I can kind of relax and get back into the swing of things, which is going to bring me to the topic of this YouTube video. And that is, if you go back a few, I talked about I was going to start an 8-week cut, and then things started off pretty well. I was really happy with kind of the changes I had made, both in cardio. I incorporated some high intensity interval training back in, rather than doing as much steady state, moderate state cardio that I had been doing prior to that. And I adjusted basically my cheat meal out to make it more of a kind of a carb load day. First couple of weeks, I saw really good progress in terms of fat loss. And then kind of stuff with the house came to a head in terms of closing and all of the financials with that, and just the administrative overhead pieces, and then getting the furniture stuff done and all that kind of stuff. Really just started occupying the majority of my time and schedule and all that kind of stuff. And I decided, I was like, I'm gonna try to put this on the back burner, doing the cut, because my gym days couldn't be as consistent as I wanted. I couldn't get my cardio set up as consistently as I wanted, because there was either I had to be somewhere for an appointment, or I had to make time for somebody that was coming to the house. So everything just kind of got jumbled for a couple of weeks. So I'm rebooting the whole cut, and I'm going to share some of what I did and some of kind of like my approach that I felt like was working really well. I got sidetracked. The other reason it got sidetracked was because one of the days I was doing my interval training, and for my interval training, I just do sprints. I really like to sprint. I've always liked to do sprinting. Here, there's a lot of hills in Tennessee, so I like to find a good hill and do a certain number of intervals just up the hill, and then walk it back down for the rest in a slow fashion. One of the days that I was doing my intervals, I strained a calf pretty good, and then I just let it rest for a few days, and I went back a little too early and kind of re-aggravated it. So I'm not going to be able to get right back into my intervals as soon as I want, but as soon as this calf is kind of feeling pretty normal again, I'll slowly get back into that. And it really wasn't even because I did anything dumb. It was just a really hot day, and I felt like I was probably slightly dehydrated because I had walked the dogs and then went out and was doing the intervals, and that could just happen. So it wasn't anything that I was like, I did this wrong or did that wrong. I was probably just slightly dehydrated, and that happened. So a couple of things that I'll do approaching this cut for the next 8 weeks is, number one, I'm not going to run as low of a carb approach as I have in the past. A couple of things, again, I did that I got back to was incorporating some interval training a multitude of times a week, where I'm doing sprints. And I'll either do, if I do longer sprints, like 60 yards or 80 yards, I'll do 10 or 12 of those. If I'm doing a shorter one, I'll do more like 20 to 25. And again, I just walk back very slowly and do the next one. And that's the only cardio difference. And I'll do that 3 to 4 times a week. And then the rest of the time I stick with, I'll walk the dogs, and I'll take them over to the park, and I'll do, it's a few miles, takes about a good half hour. So cardio essentially twice a day. So the morning cardio, I actually do it fasted. I'll do interval training fasted, and I'll do that. And it only takes probably 15 minutes to knock that out, 20 minutes at the most. And then I'll go train, and I'm still doing my upper lower split. And then in the evening, I'll take the dogs over to the park, and we'll do roughly about 30 minutes of just like steady state walking. So that's pretty much the whole cardio layout. The dietary approach is really the big thing. People focus way too much on lifting and then the cardio stuff, when in reality, your biggest weapon in any type of cut that you're doing is going to be your diet. You could not do cardio at all and lift, 3 times a week on a full body split if that's what you want to do, or train 3 to 4 days a week, and that's really all you need to do. But your diet is always going to be your number one thing. So if you have a maintenance calorie intake of around, let's say it takes around 2,500 calories a day just to maintain your body weight, and you go down to 2,000 and you have a 500 calorie a day deficit, then that's going to cause you to lose fat if you don't change anything else at all. So as long as your NEAT stays the same, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or if you're doing cardio, whatever you're doing, but if your daily activity stays the same and it's 2,500 calories to maintain, and you knock 500 calories off via your diet, you're going to lose fat. So here's where I lean on something, because I get tired of standing up. I'll just get a chair. So if you're, as I was saying, if you're at 2,500 calories and you go down to 2,000, I repeated that a million times, you'll lose fat. Doesn't matter what you're doing. The reason why I'm having to say that so many times is because when people start asking me about this kind of stuff, I feel like they're focused on the wrong thing. I feel like they're always focused on the cardio too much or the training too much, because they'll say like, I'm in a deficit, should I do this training program or whatever? Training programs should work. You shouldn't have to change anything in your training program from a bulk to a cut. Your training principles, good training sound principles, are transferable from a fat loss phase to a mass gaining phase. So good training principles apply the same. So none of those things really get any type of alterations in what I'm doing. The biggest alteration comes from my diet. So because I like doing stuff with my diet to make it so it's not monotonous, and what I mean by that is I don't want to get up and eat the exact same meals every single day of the week over and over and over again. And that doesn't mean I do a flexible dieting approach. What it means is I either do some type of carb cycling, or I have a refeed or a cheat, or I do a protein sparing modified fast. So that's generally my approach, and I do that to break up the monotony, so that I'm not just doing the same thing each day over and over and over again. I think that's why some people like a flexible dieting approach, because they don't want to feel like they're just eating the same things over and over and over and over again. I don't mind that so much, but I do like to have targets I'm hitting during the week. So what I was doing the first few weeks that was working really well is I'd actually bump my carbs up to around 160 to 175 a day, which for me is relatively high, because I can go down to 100 and feel fine. So 175 carbs for me is actually a decent amount. It is for me. For other people, it may be a lot more. I understand that. Everybody has their own individuality here. But for me, around 175 grams for the day is a good bit compared to the way that I used to run my carb cycling, where it was 100 grams on base days, and then I'd have a few days where I'd bump it up to 250, and then have a really couple of high carb days or a refeed like I normally do. So essentially what I'll do is I'll have a couple of days during the week where when I'm not training, I'll do a protein sparing modified fast, and that I'll just have egg whites, protein shakes, and then I'll have some vegetables and stuff like my bison sirloin or chicken or stuff like that. So it's it's low fat and low carb, and it's very high in protein. So it's a protein sparing modified fast. And I'll do that 2 or 3 days a week. And then I'll have on my training days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, it's around 165 to 175 carbs a day. And then I'll have, of course, the Friday night cheat meal refeed, whichever one it is. I do better in a fat loss phase when it's just a refeed. And by refeed, what I mean is I keep fat intake very low, and then I have an intentionally high carb day. So Friday would be an intentionally high carb day, somewhere around 500 or 600 grams of carbs. And then Saturday and Sunday, because I had that big carb day, I'll bring that down and make them more like protein sparing modified fast. The only thing that I do a little different is Sunday night, I make a low fat brioche French toast that I like. And then that's, again, kind of a break up in the monotony. So it's Sunday's not like a true protein sparing modified fast days. Wednesday would be, Saturday would be, and then Sunday would be more like I generally have a protein sparing modified fast all day until that evening when I do my low fat French toast, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the approach that I'll be using. So I'm rebooting the cut just because of all the house stuff and just the distractions that have been going on the last few weeks with all of that. But I feel really settled now. I feel, like I said, like I'm kind of in a home now, that it's mine. And I'm just kind of adding stuff to the house now that are just like complementary like pieces. But I got my couch, I got my bed, I got 2 tables and stuff. I got my outside furniture. So I actually feel like I can get up now and that I feel like at home, and I have a sense of kind of relaxation and relief with that. So I feel like I can really get back to the grind on this cut. So I know you guys have been asking for me to get a YouTube up. Again, I apologize that I haven't had the time to really kind of make one of these. I don't know if you guys got anything out of that at all. I know I've had a lot of people wanting me to redo the cut video. This is kind of the cut video. There's nothing fancy going on, guys. I'll do, like I said, my interval training once my calf gets better a few times a week, lots of steady state cardio, 165, 175 grams of carbs a day. My protein intake's around anywhere from 250 to 280 a day. Fat is always very low. I do much better with a little more carbs and less fat intake. I don't do as well with a higher fat intake. And I had a lot of people say something, you know, like you need at least 50 grams of fat intake a day to stabilize hormone levels and blah, blah, blah. If you're in a cut, and there's some data on this, if you're in a cut, your test levels could drop, and natural guys freak out about that. I'm not on cycle anymore, but I do take TRT, and that probably helps reduce any of the negatives with that. However, and I'll have to look this data back up, I do remember that this is true, that even though natty guys' test levels would plummet during their contest phase, they actually retain the majority of their muscle mass. So I think it's probably a bit overblown, the whole hormonal thing that's going on right there with like, you still retain your muscle. I have to go look this data back up, maybe I'll post on it. But I remember having this conversation with Joel TNF and sending him that data saying, it really doesn't matter if your testosterone levels kind of plummet for a while, it still looks like you retain your muscle as long as you've got a good protein intake and you're still training hard. So for those of you guys who are doing the cut, that worry about that kind of stuff, I think that sometimes that gets overblown. It's a little bit of fear mongering. So I hope that gives you some peace of mind. I have something in my hand, like a splinter or something, I don't know what it is. I hope that gives you some peace of mind that if you lower your fat intake to get those calories down, you know, if you're just looking at a few weeks, if you want to get that last bit of fat off, you're not going to lose any muscle because your test levels go down. So I don't know if that helps you guys. I don't know if you got anything out of it, but if so, good job. So I hope you guys had a good weekend, and God bless you.